Now, we're about to begin our second story. And this one is not just a story, it's a case, an unsolved one, the kind that makes people lock their doors, check their windows, and never sleep the same way again. So if you're listening to this alone, maybe keep the lights on, because what you're about to hear never really ended. This case comes from a quiet, upscale neighborhood in Blackwood, Ohio, a place where nothing unusual ever happened. Perfect homes, clean streets, friendly neighbors, the kind of place where people leave their lights off at night because they feel safe. But on October 14th, that illusion was shattered. It started with the dogs. Not one, not two, every dog on the street. One by one, they began to gather outside a large Gothic-style mansion at the end of Oak Ridge Lane. At first, they barked. Then, they howled. But it wasn't normal barking. It sounded wrong, almost like grief, like something had already died or was about to. A retired man named Mr. Henderson woke up to the noise. Annoyed, he stepped out onto his balcony. "Who's letting their dogs go crazy at this hour?" But the moment he looked down, his voice faded. Every single dog was completely still, not moving, not running, just standing and staring upward. Slowly, Henderson followed their gaze, up, toward the second-floor balcony of the mansion. At first, there was nothing, just fog, darkness, silence. Then he saw it. A figure, tall, unnaturally thin. Its body looked stretched, like something that didn't belong in this world. It stood perfectly still, as if it had been waiting. And then the eyes. Two glowing red eyes, burning through the fog, locked directly onto him. Henderson didn't scream, didn't move. He just stepped back, closed the door, locked it, and sat in the dark until morning. Because deep down he knew that thing was not human. That mansion belonged to Professor Raymond, a respected scholar, a man who believed only in logic, science, and facts. But that night, his reality broke. At exactly 2:59 a.m., Raymond woke up, gasping. Something felt off. He tried to move, but couldn't. His body felt restrained, heavy, wrong. Confused, he looked around, and that's when his mind stopped working. The room was upside down. No, he was. He was hanging, upside down, suspended in the air. His ankles felt locked, as if something invisible was holding him. The room was freezing, the air thick, hard to breathe. He tried to scream, but his voice felt trapped. He struggled, panicked, twisted his body with all his strength, and suddenly the grip released. He crashed onto the floor. Dazed and shaking, he dragged himself to the bathroom, turned on the light, looked into the mirror, and screamed. Across the top of his head was a clean, precise cut. Not messy, not random, perfect, like it had been done carefully. There was no one in the room. The door was locked, windows sealed, no sign of entry, nothing. By morning, the police were involved. Detective Marcus Miller took the case, a man of logic, of evidence, of facts. But even he wasn't prepared for this. Security footage showed Raymond entering his room at 11 p.m., alone. Then, at exactly 2:59 a.m., the cameras glitched, static, for 60 seconds, and when the footage returned, nothing. No one entered, no one left, but inside that room, something impossible had happened. 2 days later, it happened again. This time, Raymond's younger brother, Victor, 3 blocks away, found hanging upside down. Same pattern, different injury, precise, controlled. Then a third victim, then a fourth.
Every time the same signs: dogs barking, neighbors seeing something, a tall figure, twisted limbs, red glowing eyes, watching from rooftops, balconies, shadows. The media gave it a name, the red-eyed surgeon, because whatever it was, it worked with precision. Panic spread across Blackwood. People stopped sleeping, installed lights, cameras, alarms, but nothing stopped it. Detective Miller made a decision. He would stay overnight with the next potential victim, a young man named Ankit, who had seen red eyes outside his window. The house was secured, officers everywhere, no chance anything could get in. 2 a.m., 2:30 a.m., silence. Then 2:59 a.m. Every light went out. Darkness, radios dead, cameras failed, flashlights useless. It felt like reality itself had shut down. Then they heard it, a slow, deep breathing sound. Closer, closer. Miller rushed to the bed. Empty. Ankit was gone. A faint light broke through. Miller looked up and froze. Ankit was hanging upside down above the bed, motionless, and behind him, on the ceiling, it, a shape of darkness, long, distorted limbs, and those eyes, burning red, watching him. It didn't attack, it just watched. Then slowly it leaned closer, toward Miller. Its mouth opened, a hollow void, and it whispered, "Miller." He couldn't move, couldn't speak, forced to watch. Then the lights came back, everything normal. Ankit on the floor, alive, but marked. After that night, the attacks stopped. No explanation, no suspect. Professor Raymond never spoke again. Detective Miller resigned and disappeared from the case. But even now, every night at 2:59 a.m., Miller wakes up. He says the room gets cold. He hears a ticking sound, and sometimes, in the reflection of his window, he sees them, 2 red eyes, watching. Maybe it was never tied to that house. Maybe it was just passing through, looking, choosing, waiting. So, if one night dogs start barking outside your house, all staring at the same place, don't look, because if you see it, it may have already seen you. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on the bell icon, because the next story is going to be even more terrifying. Don't forget to like the video and comment below which story scared you the most, and what do you think was the red-eyed surgeon?